Hey guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while, a couple of months to be exact, and I hate to leave you guys hanging, but I was undergoing a medical procedure. I've been recovering because I got a nose job. I know a lot of you might not be able to tell because it is very subtle and sleek. I actually went to a doctor who specializes in rhinoplasties for African Americans. Before you guys say, oh my god, the nose doesn't fit your face, or you assume that I wanted to get a white nose, please calm down. You might not know this just by looking at me, but I actually am 1/8 white on my dad's side, and I wanted my new nose to reflect my Caucasian ancestry, so I would just love it if you guys could respect my decision at this time. Of course, I'm always thinking about y'all, so yes, I am working with my doctor to offer a special discount code for anyone who wants the same nose as me. You can use code AMANDANOSE10 for 10% off your rhinoplasty. That's AMANDANOSE10 for 10% off your nose. Well, my nose. Hey guys, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel. I did not get a nose job, but I think based on the amount of rhinoplasty videos I've seen on my For You page, TikTok is trying to tell me something. Specifically, I've been seeing a lot of videos about ethnic rhinoplasties. If you've never heard the term, ethnic rhinoplasty is what plastic surgeons use to describe a nose job that creates an aesthetically pleasing nose shape while retaining distinct characteristics that are unique to one's race or ethnic group. Ethnic rhinoplasties have steadily climbed in popularity for the past few decades. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, between 2005 and 2013, there was a substantial increase in nose jobs amongst several ethnic groups, with a 125% increase amongst Asian Americans, 85% increase amongst Hispanics, and 56% amongst African Americans. Procedures on Caucasians only increased 35%. While African Americans are the least likely group to undergo this procedure, on TikTok we seem to be dominating the discourse about ethnic rhinoplasties right now, and it all started after one woman's controversial nose job reveal.
This is what she's looking like from the front.
There were over 20,000 comments on her videos, most of them sad, angry, confused, or referencing Michael Jackson. And it kicked off a larger discussion about Black women and our noses.
Stop getting those noses.
Black women, leave your nose alone.
Ethnic rhinoplasties are so dumb.
You're gonna look like a Picasso picture.
Doesn't fit your face, doesn't look good.
You've obliterated the middle of your face.
So in today's video, I want to join the conversation and talk about the ethics of the ethnic rhinoplasty.
Mommy, sing to me, mommy, sing to me.
Before the early 2000s, the term ethnic rhinoplasty simply referred to a nose job performed on a non-white person. It didn't change anything about the procedure, it just described the patient. So in the 1980s, when someone like LaToya Jackson got a nose job, her provider might have referred to it as an ethnic rhinoplasty due to her race. However, her new nose was anything but ethnic. It was tiny, pinched, and upturned. Of course, ethnic people and Black people can have naturally small upturned noses because y'all love to bring up East Africans. But LaToya Jackson's nose clearly does not seem to naturally curve in nature or on her face. It's an example of what plastic surgeons call racial incongruity. This term refers to an imbalance between the physical traits of individuals and their ethnic background. People can arrive at these racially incongruous nose jobs for different reasons. Perhaps you have a bad plastic surgeon or one with bad taste. It could also be the patient who pushes back and says, I want a dramatically different nose. I don't care if it fits my ethnicity. Usually plastic surgeons with like some sort of standards or ethics will refuse to give people certain surgeries even if they want it, if they know it's gonna like look bad, but I don't know. Some people will give you what you want despite the consequences. Plastic surgery was always meant to be subtle and naturalistic, but a higher premium has been placed on undetectable surgery in recent years, hence the changing definition of ethnic rhinoplasty. When you hear the term now, it's referring to a nose job performed on an ethnic patient and that patient's ethnic background is being considered and preserved when the surgeon sculpts a new nose, so the nose fits their face and looks racially harmonious. Stephen Williams, a plastic surgeon and the president of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, describes the evolution of the ethnic rhinoplasty like this.
When people used to say ethnic rhinoplasty, what they meant is an African American or an Asian kind of based nose and what to do to make it more conform to a Eurocentric type of standard. And that's what was kind of meant by, okay, we have to do an ethnic rhinoplasty today. But in some ways, that phrase has been reclaimed, and now ethnic rhinoplasty really refers to preserving some of that ethnic identity in those physical features that the person has.
Despite the relative novelty of the term ethnic rhinoplasty, ethnic people are not new to nose jobs. In fact, the first documented rhinoplasty occurred in ancient India. So here's a brief history on nose jobs. During the 6th century, an Indian physician named Shashruta wrote one of the world's earliest works on medicine and surgery. He was largely regarded in India as the father of surgery. His book is considered one of the most important surviving medical treatises from the ancient world. The text included instructions for performing several surgical procedures, including reconstruction of the nose. It provides the first written record of a forehead flap rhinoplasty, a technique still used today in which a full thickness piece of skin from the forehead is used to reconstruct a nose. It's crazy to think that someone thought of this 2,500 years ago and it worked. Like, the internet didn't even exist back then, and this guy's like, I think I can build a new nose. I wouldn't even attempt to make rice without a rice cooker today. At the time, the procedure wasn't cosmetic. Patients needed it because they had lost their noses. Not in a Mr. Potato Head way, their noses were severed as punishment for theft or adultery. That's what they were doing back then. You snatched a married man, they snatched your nose. Modern nose jobs gained popularity in the West several centuries later, thanks in large part to a sexually transmitted infection, syphilis. There was a European syphilis epidemic in the 16th century, and I was today years old when I learned that one of the symptoms of the disease is soft tissue decay, which impacts the nose. So the most severely infected people had a gaping hole in the middle of their face. Fun fact, this is how I used to draw people when I was like 5. I couldn't figure out how to draw a realistic nose, and I felt like when I drew a nose, it was a triangle, and all my people just looked like jack-o'-lanterns. So I was like, fuck it, no nose. Obviously, having a missing nose was a huge social stigma, so nose reconstruction procedures gained more popularity during that time. It wasn't until the late 1800s that plastic surgery reached North America, and some of the earliest adopters included patients who went under the knife to remove racial signifiers. In 1926, a Japanese man named Shima Kito proposed to his girlfriend, a white woman from Iowa named Mildred Ross. However, Mildred's parents did not approve of interracial marriages, and she didn't want to disappoint them, so she agreed to marry Shima only after he got plastic surgery to look more white. I know this sounds like the premise for a TLC reality show called Asian or Alter, but this actually happened in 1926. Shima visited a doctor in Boston who gave him double eyelid surgery, so his eyes appeared wider and less slanted. His nose was also reconstructed, and his lips surgically tightened. To top it off, Shima changed his name to William White, and then he got engaged to Mildred. Yeah, ladies, if he wanted to, he would. I'm just kidding. Clearly this man had to be fighting some demons, because ain't no way I'm doing all that for a girl named Mildred. This is obviously an extreme case of using plastic surgery to de-racialize yourself, but you can't talk about ethnic rhinoplasties without talking about race and what it means to alter a feature like the nose that can have a very distinct ethnic association. It can be very taboo to talk about race in plastic surgery because no one wants to say they are getting a nose job to look less like their race. People will say they want a smaller, more refined nose without acknowledging the fact that these so-called imperfections aren't unique defects, but common features amongst their ethnic background. And therein lies the paradox of the modern ethnic rhinoplasty. It's a procedure that claims to preserve the appearance of a patient's ethnic background, But isn't the best way to preserve the appearance of your ethnic background simply not getting a nose job? It's disingenuous to claim that a procedure in which the nose is getting smaller, straighter, and or more pinched has anything to do with preserving one's ethnicity. I find it frustrating that the agency involved in getting plastic surgery is conflated with making an individual choice. It would be an individual choice to have a small nose and get it widened in a society that deems small noses to be more attractive, but to have a larger nose and make it smaller, that's not an individual choice or self-expression. It's assimilation, and I wish more people were honest about that. You never see someone getting a nose job being like, hey guys, come with me to get a nose job thanks to the crushing weight of Eurocentric beauty standards that say a small nose makes you more beautiful. It's always, I'm getting a nose job because this is my personal choice. It has nothing to do with anyone else. In fact, I would still get this procedure if I never had access to a mirror in my life. Like, let's be honest, babes. I think we've conflated transparency about these procedures with people being honest about why they are actually getting plastic surgery. I think it's really annoying when people frame plastic surgery as a personal choice that they just magically thought of. Like, you live in a society. I think it's because of girl boss feminism and this desire to frame any choice, no matter what kind of choice it is, that a woman makes as feminist, when, you know, that's not the case. It's like, you could still get a nose job if you want to. I just like don't understand the need to shroud the decision to get a nose job as like some sort of self-empowerment. Transparency about plastic surgery is extremely in vogue. Look no farther than Kylie Jenner, who recently shared her boob job recipe in the comment section of a TikTok video. She's now being hailed as a hero and the ultimate girl's girl. This comes after a decade of incessant inquiries and speculation about other procedures she has had done. Up until this point, she pretty much followed the policy of don't tell. So what changed?
These are all the things the hot girls have been gatekeeping, but I am here to spill it all. From one hot girl to another, I'm looking at you.
I think a big part of it is the hot girls don't gatekeep trend, where women online are encouraged to be open and generous with information regarding products and tips they use to look more attractive. In general, there's a lot less secrecy with plastic surgery thanks to the internet. If a creator posts themselves on a regular basis and suddenly their forehead looks a lot tighter or their lips look much plumper, it's hard not to notice. And influencers hold this social position between everyday private citizens and celebrities. So while some of them are getting extensive and expensive work done, like celebrities, they are much more inclined to be transparent about it because their job is to share their lives. In the era of anti-gatekeeping, the extent to which one shares her plastic surgery procedures is a litmus test for morality. If you show up online with a new nose and don't tell anyone where you got it from, you wouldn't be a girl's girl. There is one important caveat though. That new nose, it has to look like it belongs there. Which brings me back to the video that started this whole discourse.
Overall, I am very happy with my nose and how she's turned out.
This creator is a woman named Zuri who went to Tijuana, Mexico to get her nose job. She actually refers to it as an ethnic rhinoplasty, which is interesting because the reason she's received so much hate on her new nose is that it doesn't look ethnic and isn't very racially congruous with the rest of her features. She has received so many negative comments, and it's not my intention to add to the pile-on, but in this wave of discourse that came from her video, I noticed that people only seem to be against plastic surgery when it makes someone look worse. I know this seems like a very obvious point to make, but what I'm trying to say is the same people who will call your nose big and ugly before you get surgery are the same people who claim that you looked better naturally after you get the nose job. It leaves the person who has undergone the procedure between a rock and a hard place. They can't win.
She shouldn't have changed her nose. Her nose is beautiful. I hate when black women change their nose after the fact that she's already done it. I don't ever see any of that praise or community before.
When a creator like Zuri pops up with her new nose, people act like they are totally against plastic surgery and that the person looked fine before. This also happens a lot with BBLs because that is one of the least conspicuous plastic surgeries you can get. Like, trust and believe, every bitch who has gotten a BBL was probably made to feel insecure about having a flat ass at least once in her life. And then when she flies down to the DR or Dr. Miami or wherever to get the BBL, suddenly it's like, oh, your butt is doing too much. Lotto, the rapper, said she felt pressured to get a BBL at just 21 years old, saying, I gained a little weight and everybody on the internet was calling me bad body. I started feeling insecure about my body. I was young and impressionable. When someone pops out with a nose job that does not look racially congruous with that person's race, people are quick to point out the self-hate. And I just want to say, self-hate does not exist in a vacuum. It quite literally takes a village to hate yourself. It takes a lack of representation of women with Afrocentric features in traditional media. It takes social media algorithms pushing only certain body types and faces. It takes rude comments from family, peers, and anonymous internet trolls.
I don't like that the fault is being placed on women who are getting the nose job. I think the fault should be placed on our community for making Black women feel uncomfortable with their noses.
This all contributes to self-hate. The worst case scenario is for all of these factors to motivate someone to change their appearance by getting plastic surgery, and after they've permanently altered their face, everyone tells them they look worse. I would feel crazy. I really would feel insane. On the other hand, when people get plastic surgery that is undetectable, they are met with immense praise. They're told it's very mindful, demure, and that they're not doing too much. It just shows that people don't have a problem with plastic surgery. They just have a problem with people who don't appear to be naturally beautiful. The barrier to getting cosmetic surgery has been increasingly lowered thanks to medical tourism, so I think this divide of obvious versus undetectable surgery will continue to grow. Zuri, the creator who got her nose job in Tijuana, Mexico, paid $4,800 for the surgery. Meanwhile, in the US, a rhinoplasty will start at about $8,000, and for a very acclaimed doctor in a major city like New York or Los Angeles, you could pay up to $25,000. That is kind of the paradox of plastic surgery. The most successful surgeries tend to be the ones where you can't even tell it's occurred. It's like the ultimate signifier of quiet luxury. In late 2024, Lindsay Lohan's red carpet appearances sparked intense speculation about whether her refreshed look was the result of plastic surgery. She looked noticeably more youthful, but it was subtle enough where you couldn't tell if she went under the knife. It was the perfect storm. She looked different, she looked better, but no one knew why. In her blog post titled "Not Everything is Fascism, but Lindsay Lohan's New Face Might Be," writer Stacey Lee Kong points out that the rise of undetectable plastic surgery reflects not just a cultural preference for natural beauty, but an ideological celebration of genetic superiority masked as authenticity. These ideals are especially insidious because they suggest that beauty is effortless and innate, when in fact it requires wealth, access, and labor to achieve. This is particularly relevant when considering how these beauty standards impact Black women. Our features have been historically excluded from dominant ideals of attractiveness, while white women are praised for adopting stylized versions of Black aesthetics. Certain features, like broader noses, remain stigmatized. I think it's unfortunate that it takes someone getting a botched nose job to remind Black women that our natural noses are beautiful. So to wrap this video up, I want to say that if you are a Black woman with a broad, big, or wide nose, you are beautiful. Black noses are basically the only feature that we have that has not been appropriated. In all the creative ways that white women have managed to blackfish, none of them have tried to make their nose look bigger. And if this is the one feature that nobody else has, I think we should be proud of it and celebrate it. I'd love to hear all your thoughts below. What do you think about the rise of ethnic rhinoplasties and nose discourse? And I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Bye!